When you think of modern action heroes, I bet John Wick is one of the first names that pops into your head. I mean, the guy is a legend, a man of focus, commitment, and just sheer will. But you know what's just as famous as the man? His nickname, the Baba Yaga. It's a name that makes even the toughest criminals break out in a cold sweat.
We all remember this scene from the first movie, right? The crime boss, Viggo Tarasov, trying to explain to his son just how big of a mistake he's made. He doesn't call Wick a monster or the devil. He calls him Baba Yaga. And you can just hear the absolute terror in his voice. It tells you everything you need to know.
Now Viggo's son, Yosef, does what most of us did. He immediately thinks the boogeyman. And yeah, it seems to make sense. But what if I told you that translation is completely wrong, and that this so-called mistake is actually one of the most brilliant bits of character building in the whole franchise?
To really get what's going on here, we have to step out of the high-stakes world of assassins and into the deep, dark forests of Slavic folklore. Because Baba Yaga isn't just some scary-sounding name the writers made up, she is a very real and very specific figure from mythology.
See, she's not just some generic monster hiding under the bed. In these old stories, Baba Yaga is this ancient, kind of unpredictable force of nature. One minute she's this terrifying witch who eats children, but then sometimes she's also the one who helps the hero, if they're brave enough to ask.
And the details of her legend are just wild. We're talking about a fierce old woman, sometimes there are 3 of them, all sisters, who flies around in a giant mortar. Yeah, you heard me, a mortar, like the bowl you use to grind spices. She steers with the pestle and sweeps away her tracks with a broom. Oh, and her house? It stands on giant chicken legs and can literally just get up and walk away. She's often called Bony Leg, and she's famous for tricking people so she can eat them, kind of like the witch from Hansel and Gretel.
Okay, so we have a pretty clear picture of this ancient, kinda terrifying witch. Now let's put her side by side with John Wick, the man they call Baba Yaga, and see how that comparison actually holds up.
And, yeah, right away you can see the problem, can't you? John Wick is a man, Baba Yaga is a woman. He uses custom firearms, she uses a big wooden stick. He drives a '69 Mustang, she flies in kitchenware. There's pretty much zero overlap here. It just doesn't add up.
And it goes right down to the name itself. The word Baba in Russian and other Slavic languages literally means grandmother or old woman. You know, like babushka. It's a female gendered term, through and through. John Wick is a lot of things, but an old woman is definitely not one of them. So this all leads to one obvious question. Did the screenwriters just mess up? Do they just grab a cool-sounding Russian name from a book of fairy tales and figure, close enough, nobody will notice? Well, the answer is a little more complicated and a whole lot cooler.
All right, so if the writers didn't just make a huge mistake, what's really happening? Well, turns out if Yosef Tarasov was actually looking for the Russian word for the boogeyman, he wouldn't have had to look very far. There's a specific creature in Slavic folklore for that exact job. First, let's just get on the same page about what the boogeyman even is. It's not one specific monster, right? It's more of a concept, that creepy, shadowy thing that parents tell their kids about to get them to behave. You know, the monster under the bed or hiding in the closet.
And in Russia, that creature is called the Baba. He's this old man who lurks around at night, and if you're a kid who won't go to sleep, he'll snatch you up. Sound familiar? And just listen to that name, Baba. It actually comes from a word meaning old man, so he's basically the male version of Baba Yaga.
And the Baba isn't some one-off thing. This idea of a boogeyman is like a universal concept. You've got El Coco in Spain, the Sack Man in Latin America, Der Schwarze Mann, the Black Man, in Germany. They're all different flavors of the exact same scary story for kids.
So, if the Baba is the correct term, why on earth does the film use Baba Yaga? Well, this is where that so-called mistake becomes an absolute stroke of genius. Because it's not actually about John Wick at all. It's about the people who are afraid of him.
This is the brilliant part of the script. The fact that Yosef misinterprets Baba Yaga as the boogeyman tells you everything you need to know about his character in an instant. He's this arrogant, immature kid who's totally out of touch with his own culture. He hears a name from an old fairy tale and just defaults to this generic, almost American idea of a monster. He doesn't get it.
But his dad, Viggo, oh, he gets it. He grew up with these stories. He knows the real folklore. And more importantly, he knows the real John Wick. And that is why his response to his son's simple mistake is one of the most chilling and just plain awesome lines in modern action movie history. Just let that sink in for a second. With that one sentence, Vigo not only corrects his son's clueless mistake, but he completely redefines the nickname. The writers didn't get it wrong. No, they used the wrong name on purpose, just to set up this perfect world-defining moment.
So in the world of John Wick, all the assassins, the mobsters, the killers, they are the boogeymen. They are the Baba Yaga. And John? John is the force of nature you call when you need to eliminate one of them. He's not the monster you tell scary stories about. He's the one the monsters are scared of.
So what does this all really tell us? Well, it shows how a simple choice of a nickname can unlock these deep layers of character and world building. And it shows us something really cool about how we tell stories today. Think about it. The John Wick movies took this ancient witch from Slavic folklore, twisted her name through the ignorance of one character and the wisdom of another, and they created a completely new legend. They didn't just retell an old myth. They used it to forge a new one, showing that these ancient stories are still incredibly powerful tools for us today.
Ultimately, it just goes to show that mythology is never really set in stone. It's always changing, always evolving. And that leaves us with a pretty fun question to think about. The next time you're watching a blockbuster, look a little closer. What ancient gods or heroes or monsters are hiding just beneath the surface, waiting to be reborn in a brand new story?